Minus
8 what? I need you to say the 875. Okay, so when you look at that, you might notice that the numbers are large. So what should you do if the numbers are large? Look for squares. There aren't any squares because you have a k cubed. So what should you do to those numbers? I quizzed you yesterday and the day before on this very thing. What should you try to do? We don't like big numbers, so we want to what? What topic are we doing? So factor the numbers, factor the numbers, factor the numbers. So which one do you want to factor first? 56, sure. What's 56 factor into? 7 times what? 7 times 8? Yeah, that's right. 56, correct. Factor 875. What can you easily pull out of 875? 5. Okay, if you pull out a 5 out of that, you could do 5 if you want. Let's pull out 25 instead. I like 25. If you pull out 25, how do you figure out how many times 25 goes into 800? 30 what? 35 times, yeah, good job. Okay, 35. What can you break 25 into? 5 and what? 5 and 5. What does 35 break into? Okay, so now let's rewrite this. This is equal to 7 times 8 times k cubed. No. And what's this minus what? 5 to the what? Third times what? 7. What can I factor out of both of these things? 7. If you factor, you can now find something that you can pull out. So it's 7 times what? 8k cubed minus what? Kids, I'm not asking you a deep question here. If you take a 7 away from that, what are you left with? 5 cubes. All right, I heard you. I want to see if I could hear other people. Good. We have now factored. We're not done yet. Yes?
Why didn't you break 8 into 4 times 2?
Because you don't need to. Because once you could do 4 times 2, and then you go back to it. I just stopped there because I knew we didn't need to go any further. But you're absolutely right, you could. The key was we needed to get 7, and we did. So this one, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. What is 8? What's another way you can write 8? 2 to the? 2 to what power is 8? 2 to the third, k to the third, minus 5 to the third. Okay, is there another way we can rewrite 2 to the third times k to the third? That's the same thing as 2k to the what power? To the third. Now what do we have? Can someone tell me what we have right here? What is this? This is the difference of cubes. Now why did I try to get difference of cubes? Well, look at the first thing we had here. What do you see right there? What does it contain automatically? It does contain a cube. So I looked and we had a difference, so I tried to make the... Oh, it did. Is there a formula for the difference of cubes? You have to memorize it. X cubed minus y cubed, what does that equal?
X
Times plus 1. Yeah, there you go. I've told you you need to memorize this. I can only tell you so many times. You must. So if you use that formula, can someone tell me what this difference of cubes right here turns out to be?
2k.
7 times 2k minus 5 times 4k squared minus plus, sorry, yep. 10k, yep. Plus what? 25, yeah. There you go. And I use brackets. You don't need to use brackets. Just parentheses. We applied the formula. If you remember this formula right here, there's the difference of cubes right there. Here it is. I'll go back and explain it right here. Here's the difference of cubes. We took the difference of cubes, we applied it, and we got this. How did we get that right there? That's what you're asking, right? Correct? This right here is 2k squared, right? That's what you have there, the x squared. And what's this right here? This is 2k times 5. That's 10k. And this is 5 squared. And what are you doing with all of them? You're adding them. That's where they come from. You must memorize this formula right here. You must. You could break it apart. You could do it 4k and k, right? Because 4k times k, like 4 times 1 is 4. Let's start with this. What do you know about this one, though? What the last two have to multiply together to get 49r squared. So what's your guess as to what it's going to be? 7r and? Just test this symmetric one first. We're not sure if it works. Does this one work, actually? Yeah, you end up with 4k squared plus 14kr plus 14kr plus what? 49r squared. Is that what we want it to be? So you could write it as 2k plus 7r to the what power? This would be a great final answer right there. That would be a great final answer. I would love that. Letter, Katie. Give me a letter. Any letter. Let's let it equal r. Sure. R squared minus 9r plus 20. Can you factor this for me? What's nice about that? If I just asked you this one right here, what's nice about that one? The leading coefficient is 1. So you have two numbers that multiply together to get 20, but add together to get... Can you tell me what those two are, Rachel? Two numbers multiply together to get 20, but add together to get negative 9. Negative 2 plus negative 10 is not negative 9. Two numbers that multiply together to get 20, but add together to get negative 9. Yeah, exactly. So you know this has to be true, right? But what does r equal? Z squared minus 4 times z squared minus 5. This is recognizing the fact that if you can break it down like this, you can kind of turn it into a quadratic. My term, and this is not what the book calls it, I call this a fake quadratic. Why is it a fake quadratic? Because what do you do to z squared to turn it into z to the fourth? What do you do to it? You square it. Normally we see x and x squared, but instead we're saying z squared and z to the fourth. Are we done at this point right here? Nope. Why aren't we done? Can someone clearly tell me why we're not done? You still have difference of squares right here. Rourke, can you tell me what this factors into?
Z minus 4.
Close.
2,
Yeah, so z plus 2 times z minus 2. Yep. And z squared minus 5. This would be the final answer right there. That would be awesome. This is tricky. This is tricky. What? What about 20? Where did it go to? 2 times negative 2 times negative 5 is 20. It's there still. Yeah, negative 4 times negative 5 is 20. Yeah. So you could check this, you could do it out, but we don't need to in this case. So let me give a times b equals 0. What can you tell me about a and b? If two things multiply together, one or both have to be 0. You know that a or b equals 0. The way it's said is the zero product property, zero factor property. If two things multiply together to get 0, then at least one of them has to be 0. Is there any other way for that to be equal to 0? No. So how many things do you see multiplied together here? I see one thing and I see two things. So given that x plus 6 times 2x minus 3 equals 0, using the zero factor property, I know it as zero product rule, what can you tell me has to be true? X plus 6 has to equal
0.
Or what?
2x minus 3.
So x is equal to negative 6, or 2x is equal to 3, so x is equal to 3 over 2. So if I asked you, solve this, your answer would be negative 6 comma 3 halves. This is set notation. I want answers to be in set notation. So what's nice is when things are factored, are they easy to solve? Yes. When things are fully factored, they're as easy as they can be to solve. Easy as they can be to solve. So for example, let's say I said x squared plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Is that factored? Can you factor it, Alyssa? What's it factor into? Equals 0. So what does that tell you? It tells you that x plus 3 equals, or x plus 2 equals 0. So what does that tell you? X equals, or x equals. So if you want to solve this, it would be negative 3 comma negative 2. I put the smallest to largest numbers. So what do the steps look like? In standard form. So let's say I gave you x squared plus 7x equals, I don't know, negative 6. Is that in standard form? Take a look. Is it in standard form? Is it in standard form?
No.
Why not? So what do you do to both sides? So you get x squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0. Is it in standard form now? So that first step was standard form. The second step was factor. Rachel, can you factor that for me? X squared plus 7x plus 6? What's nice about this one? The leading coefficient is? Yeah. So what does it factor into? Or what? X plus. So x equals. Or x equals. So you write it as -6 comma -1. Exactly. Do things get a little bit more entertaining? What do you think? Number 1. What should you do first on number 1? Is it in standard form? Yeah, it is. But what should you do first? Can someone tell me a good first step? What should you do first? 3. So what can you factor out first? What can you factor out first? 3. You can factor out 3. If you take out 3, what's left? Minus 36 equals. Oh, great. What do you see right here? What is that? Those are squares, so that's difference of squares. So, Calvin, can you tell me what this factors into? X plus times. Yeah. So can you tell me what x has to be in this? X equals -6 or 6. So how would you write that answer? -6 comma 6, like that. Excellent.
You just leave the 3.
The 3 doesn't do anything because the 3 can't be 0. The 3 is not 0. You just leave the 3. Correct. You just leave. It's just along for the ride. In this case, it's just along for the ride. It doesn't change the answer. It doesn't change the answer.
Okay.
3 is not 0, so it does not affect the answer.
So how would you do it if you didn't factor out the 0? I mean the 3.
If you didn't, you wouldn't. This is how you do it. Do it this way. Okay. So this one right here, is this in standard form? Put it in standard for me first, okay? Put it into. So, what does the left side become? What do you have to do on the left side to simplify this? Distribute. So you get 2f FOIL, 2x squared plus 2x plus x plus 1. And what do you do on the right? 2 minus 2x plus 6. Is that standard form? No. So this stays on the left. That's correct. What do you add for x's? Oh, we have 3x right there. So you have 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 equals, what's 2 and 6? 8 minus 2x. Is that standard form?
No.
Nope. What do we add? Oh, plus 2x plus 2x. Subtract 8, subtract 8. What do you end up with? Correct. Equals 0. This is standard form. Standard form is, again, what is it? ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Does that fit the form? Yes, it is in form. So once you write it in standard form, what was that next word? What was that next step? Factor. Try factoring that. Tell me what it factors into. Who's got one they think it works? 2x what? Plus 7 times what? X minus 1? Yeah, does it? You have to check it. 2x squared minus 2x plus 7x minus... Does that work? Yeah, what's -2 plus 7? It does work. So if that's true, what's the next line? You break it apart into 2 statements. What are the 2 statements? Or equals 0, so 2x equals -7, x equals -7 over 2, or x equals 1. So you write it as -7 over 2, comma 1. There's your final answer. Yeah, we're going to factor. Sure. What should I do first?
Put the 6x on the other side.
Sure. So you have -x cubed plus x squared plus 6x equals. Now what should I pull out?
X.
Take out an x. So you get x times -x squared plus x plus what?
6.
And what could you also pull out to make it easier to factor? Negative. How about -x, and it's going to be x squared minus x minus 6? It's nice when the leading coefficient is 1. Can you now, everybody take a look up here. Even if you didn't do this, take a look up here. Everybody, remember, you have my notes. Right here. Can you factor this? What's nice about that thing? What's nice? The leading coefficient is 1. So you want 2 numbers that multiply together to get -6, but add together to get -1. Can you tell me what they are? X plus 2 times x minus 3 equals what? So you have 3 things that multiply together to get 0. So any one of the 3 could be 0. So what about this one? What could x be? What about this one? X is? What about this one? X is? So what would you write for your answer? -2, comma, 0, comma, 3.
But I got completely different.
Take out that, factor that out. Okay. Step? Kids, what's the first step?
You
Move everything to
put it in standard form.
Put it in standard form. And then what's the next word?
Factor. Factor.
So you have standard form, and then you factor. And does it factor?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2x what?
Plus 1.
2x minus 1 or plus 1?
Plus 1.
Plus 1.
Times x minus 3 equals 0. So 2x minus 1 equals 1. 2x minus 1
It's plus 1.
plus 1. Thank you. 2x plus 1 equals 0, or what? Minus 3 equals 0. So 2x equals 1, x equals 1/2, or what? X equals 3. You would write it as 1/2. Negative 1/2. Thank you. Negative 1/2 comma 3.